Primarily Dead Orbit.
New Monarchy right now.
Yeah,
Dead
PvP is primarily New Monarchy. PvE is primarily Dead Orbit. And Future War Cult has some good things from PvE, but I would say Dead Orbit has a little bit better. But it depends on your preferences. Because like you said, you like the Wounded over Keystone. Wounded's very good. And that's a Future War Cult one. Just make sure you save some stuff to donate next week when it comes time.
So if I'm close to rank 12 on New Monarchy, would it be wise to... When you change factions, does that reset your rank with each one of the factions?
No, it stays where it was.
Okay, that makes that decision easy then. I'll just reset it now. I'll become a Future War Cult.
Future War Cultist.
Sure.
We're a Dead Orbiteer. Yeah, I was fascinated with New Monarchy Year 1 and Year 2. From Year 3, they really just let me down. So, I've done New Monarchy with my Hunter, and that's it. Haven't bothered with it, anything else since with my Hunter. Which, that's another thing, that you can get an exotic armor piece as well. Getting your faction to level 25, you get a mission to basically represent them, so to speak. And if you do everything you need to do, it'll come out with the class piece. Exotic. And it really doesn't matter, it's more just for looks. Because the main thing about it is that it lets you wear another exotic with it.
I have the solar one for my Titan.
So, oh, you're talking about, no, those were just kind of giveaways for the Taken King.
The mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the mark of the sun.
The Sunforged, yeah. And then, yeah, the Hunter has a Void Cloak that's also like that, and a Warlock has a Arc arm piece that's like that as well. Those ones were just strictly, you know, okay, thanks for buying the Collector's Edition, here's your exotic, you know? These ones are specific towards factions, so they're unique that way. Yeah.
Okay.
I need to go up there too, by the looks of it. Just trying to sort something out. The prize we got this mission was a ghost, is that right?
It was a quest item ghost, so it's not like a ghost that you could equip.
I see. Okay.
So that ghost, you would turn into Lakshmi, and she in turn will, the next reset day, which is on Tuesday, she will give you a quest.
I got it. Yeah. So it's basically turning it in and then getting another quest. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yes, and the quest is for an exotic weapon.
Yeah. I got it.
The aptly named to explain.
Yeah. The Vault of Glass is a place of many mysteries. To find the ghost of our order deep within a shifting time scheme. Thank you, Guardian. The cult owes you that. Yeah, definitely didn't do this one before. I mean, we've done the first part with the Hydra, and when we completed, we've gone the other way. We haven't gone actually to this area. So that is what I did not complete. I'll ask actually Sekapupu whether he was doing it. But it's a sort of activity that many people know about, you know? Like this very end, taking a different turn and then, you know, doing it. Worthwhile asking other friends.
I wish there were more missions like that, because there are other missions that you could do that have alternate endings, but they don't really reward you the same way those two do.
No.
Those two start, like, one straight up gives you an exotic, the other one starts you off with an exotic quest. The other ones are just, oh wow, this is different, okay, cool. That's it. So.
I'm kind of curious. Obviously, when you've done it for the first time, how long did it take you to work out what was there to be done?
So the one with Paradox, I didn't work out myself. Someone else did, and I just kind of was like, oh, this is something different. I'll try that. The Sleeper Stimulant one, the first time I worked that one out, I was in the trenches working that one out. Because that was for everybody. It only showed up at a certain day. It was time gated originally. So it was literally like a year after I think Ball to Glass was opened. Something like that. And Sleeper Stimulant was offered at that point.
Yeah, it would have taken a long while then to really work out everything.
Yeah, because it just showed up one day and everyone's like, well, what the hell is this mission? First firewall.
Yeah.
And you get your Curious Transceiver and you have to figure out the code. And I was...
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I was the first one to figure it out, but of my friend group, I was the first one to figure it out and learned that, like, how to figure out the code for it. Because I didn't look it up. I was just like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's try to find it out.
Oh, that was very tricky, that code. Yeah.
And
We've done that together.
Me more interesting... Yeah, what caught me more interesting is the way the knights spawned in that mission. I was like, huh, they're just kind of spawning and just sitting there for a second. So I happened to take screenshots of those, and it turns out that was important to the sleeper.
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't have been able to work this out. Many of these things, obviously, people can resort to walkthroughs and watch videos. For me, it's not the same thing. Running a channel, being a streamer, and being a person who kind of builds communities, it's fundamental to be able to have the comms and connectivity with other members. And actually, I talked on my broadcast recently, the choice of games for the stream initially, before I became a streamer, before I started doing it, was between Elder Scrolls Online and Destiny. Both games have been around for a while, big communities attached and all that. But I thought with Destiny, there were many other factors that would excel once I streamed it in order to get people in. It has lots of puzzles, mysteries, difficulties, and it kind of brings people together. People want to work out what to do like this. And I always thought that was the biggest value of this game. Elder Scrolls has a longevity and a tradition with single player games and all other games that were released over the years, and still a very large community, very friendly, very helpful. Anytime I walk to the wild, I always immediately get approached by somebody who would want me to do something together with them. Many quests. I just thought Destiny was a lot better fit in terms of the streaming popularity and a lot of factors, and it really worked out so well. And I just wanted to Zenith. For me, what I learned about Destiny, and I'm still learning after all these years, has been exclusively through the communication I've had with various community members. And this is the way to learn. Just like you said, Matthias, it was somebody else actually showed you what to do in that particular mission. You got to learn that sort of activity, and it's the best way. For me, it's the best fun as well. It's all about team effort, right? I mean, doing it by itself, it's not sort of game which is to be played as a single player game. And let me see something. Oh yeah, I've got some messages in there. We had some interruption to the stream due to some error on PSN network, so I had to restart. So you got loads of things today, right? Loads of things have been completed.
Well, he got one. He got Sleeper and he got Spindle. So those are both very good weapons. And then you have those beginnings of No Time to Explain. So definitely got some stuff.
Yeah. It really. I always like doing it with yourself and a few other veterans. The best possible coaching, and people can cut out clips and use it as for their reference, as walkthroughs or anything else. But it's the best way to somebody watching and listening your description, the best possible armor, the best possible weapons, and you got it sorted to the T, really. You know every single detail. And also what's very important, you can really explain to everyone in plain English what is what appears to be the best and what can be used. Not everyone has got this degree of oratory ability, and that really helps. It's very easy for people to learn. And any time we have obviously day off, etc., just ping us a message. But we'll do something else, a sort of a walkthrough or session on any other Pinnacle activity. People really like watching this. Generally, what we do, as you've seen, is Sivas and Nightfalls and in the weekly activities. But this requires much greater skill and knowledge. So that really is what I enjoy doing as well. And as I said, I always enjoy doing this. when we are doing it together. So it's like a proper community effort. And also, look at this. Like, that looks just amazing. We look like we really mean business. I guess I feel a bit envious because you've got better outfits than me, but I'm not too bad with my glow.
I should have put on the flaming wolf, howling wolf.
Well, that's the one that Matthias was describing earlier. Yeah, it's really a cool one. And when you have it and when you dance a bit here at the tower, it's really good fun. Look at it. What's the one that you've got, Matthias? Is that like Halloween helmet or mask?
Yeah, the one's Halloween event. This is the skull mask.
Yeah, it's
Festival
really
of the
cool.
Lost 2015.
God, it's already 8 years ago. Time flies. Extraordinary. Because you were with the game right from the start. You played also beta, right? Or alpha?
I played beta. I was not an alpha person.
Yeah. No, I remember I was discussing it a while back, and I remember that. We've had also some other people who, well, a number of people who were doing it right from the beginning. I just think that Destiny 1 grew as the time went by, right? Initially was a bit lukewarm response, and then after the Taken King was a big takeoff with extra content and different structure and everything, and were very popular. I mean, you played initially with people who were into Halo, right? There are lots of Halo veterans who joined Destiny right from the start. And what was the experience?
I believe so.
Yeah, you've not talked to many of them, have you? When you sort of played
No, there's a lot of people that I used to play with back in the day that have moved on since. And I mean, some of them are playing Destiny 2. I just don't play it, so I don't communicate with them. So. But even my original clan that I was with, I don't communicate with them either. It's not a big deal. People move on in life, whatever. But back in the day, it was all about... It was almost like a superiority thing. Like, if you were lucky enough to get certain things to drop, then you were considered better. It didn't matter your track record. It was more like, oh, you have Gallahorn, you have Icebreaker, we want you for the raid. Doesn't matter if someone else is good or not, knows what they're doing. Oh, you have level 30, that means you were lucky enough to get all the armors to drop in order to get that? Okay, well then we want you for the raid, instead of this person who's stuck with one armor piece and like 29 3/4 as their level, which was me. I was missing one armor piece that would never drop for me year one, and I was stuck at what we called a forever 29 back in the day.
And what was that piece?
The what?
What was the piece that was very hard to get that you couldn't get at that time, which you were...
Oh, it varied for people, because it was just armor was... back then, the light level was tied to armor specifically, not to a general light level that you could infuse or anything like that. So it was more along the lines of, if you were not lucky enough to have every piece of armor from the Vaulted Glass raid, well, guess what? You're not going to be level 30.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah. No, I was quite curious about the overall atmosphere. You know, the aura of the reception initially, because I know that lots of people from Halo community went to Destiny, obviously Bungie being the creator of both games, and I was just wondering what the overall interactivity response would be, because Halo has similarities, but it's quite different.
It is very different.
Yeah. It's a game that always was extremely popular for its PvP element, like a multiplayer from the start. And when the original Xbox came out, excuse me, they had this as the first big thing. I don't know whether you recall, but for about, 6 months or 12 months, you had Halo Combat Evolved as the main game on Xbox, and then just really poor quality games that nobody was interested in. So they were streamlining it a bit like what you get today with AAA blockbusters. They wanted everyone to purchase the console and purchase the game and enjoy it, and they were selling it. Yeah, they wanted to sell it as a this is a console computer. You've got all these sort of things which you can do, and Halo is the big thing, because guess what? You don't need to buy an adapter. You don't need the network key. You don't need this and the other. Everything is in one piece. And that obviously was popular at the time, and people loved it. And still today, I don't know whether you watched the documentary, still today, the biggest thing, it was in about 2008, 2009, I think. So they would have played the game for, 7-8 years, and trying to think, 360 was already in circulation. And then for the first time, the guys who played Halo from the beginning worldwide were invited, I'm not sure it was by Bungie or Microsoft, to have like a party at some really splendid place in the US. And they all got together for the first time. And don't forget, this was pre-Twitch, pre-video conferencing. Smartphones were just about to be emerging. And these people met each other for the first time in real life after playing the game for God knows how many thousands of hours. It was a fantastic documentary. It was so good. But you know what? What I've seen there amazed me. I thought, this is incredible. They played the game online and they got to know each other, and they were exactly in real life as they would have been when they played live, right? And I think exactly the same thing happens with Twitch channels and what we do today. Obviously, for the regular streamers, the regular community members, it's a fantastic way through which you can connect and share experiences. And it's not just about gaming, it's about other things as well. I think it has so many different layers and potentials that I wish other streamers would also take this opportunity, like for instance fundraising, charitable works, raising awareness on certain issues. I actually did say today, I don't know whether you heard this, my day today started in a very unusual fashion, because I was actually brought back to my old work, which is Crisis Intervention Service, to some incident which was taking place in my vicinity. And literally the whole day before I started streaming was spent on saving someone's life. And
Wow.
I just think that really it is extraordinary how we can connect and share experiences and actually raise the awareness. I think you got it a lot better, well developed in the US than what we have here, as far as the kind of medical services and charitable fundraising is concerned. I'm amazed with the overall development that I've seen, certainly during the last couple of years, particularly since the pandemic. Because our friend Lucas Arias, he was involved in the distribution of the vaccine, and he was involved with the COVID Protection Force in the US. So he actually talked to us about how things were then and how things change. It was very, very interesting, very illuminating. I compared my experience to that, and so I think it's a wonderful, wonderful way through which people can connect. I think you met lots of new friends here as well through the channel since I've been streaming, and we had lots of sessions.
Some of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, there were people who kind of built their knowledge and experience through some of your tutorials here. I know Sekapupu did, and Furry Spider, and a few other people. So it's always a good way, really. But you've not played then with some of the Halo guys initially that you would have known. They would have said, I'm a Halo player, and I'm doing this and that.
I mean, I might have at one point. I have done LFGs and done raids and helped people all throughout my time playing Destiny. So if one of them happened to come on, and I was just blissfully unaware of it. But that being said, I don't think I would even remember, to be honest, because it's been constant years of just playing with multiple different people, explaining the ropes to them, helping them out, doing raids. And there was a time where I was doing Flawless Raider for people, just for, on an LFG. I was like, you know what? I'm bored. Here's what we're going to do. Anyone that needs Flawless Raider, hop into my thing. I'll carry you through. And I did it. And, it was a long time ago. Back in year one.
Time flies. But I think if you are, presently, if one is attached to a channel and a community which kind of features on the channel frequently, then it's easier to make connections and to remember. Also, if people have easy names to remember, like for instance Dark Haunting or Zenith, that's easy to remember. If somebody's called XYZ MPS 35, well, how on earth was I to remember who that was?
Right.
So that's the other factor. The reason I asked you is that I've had some discussions with some Halo veterans, and the response was somewhat mixed. Some people loved Destiny. They thought it was like an extension of Halo universe with an extra touch, providing various activities that were diverse, and they kind of looked forward to the exploration. It's not really an open world game, but you have like massive maps and many different areas to explore. Like for instance, I guess a step to open world would have been the collection of dead ghosts, right? You got them hidden somewhere, and then you need to do it together with somebody who already discovered them, and that's just great. And other people were, like, we don't really want cutscene. We just want straightforward PvP. We want to really crack on with action, chasing scores. So my question also, in addition to the comparison with the Halo veterans, and let's not get it wrong, it's a division between people who do it for fun and people who do it for the scores, right? With Halo, and even today, I've listened to Major Nelson, Larry Hrib from Xbox. He's been playing Halo 1 Combat Evolved from day one, and he said something similar to what you just mentioned. We don't really get together frequently, but the months go by, we get together, and it's like great fun. We just enjoy whatever we do. It's not about the scores or skills overall. I mean, somebody obviously needs to know something about the game, but it's about that community effort. It's about the same guys having something to talk about and get together from time to time. It doesn't matter how many months have passed by, they still find plenty to talk about, and they enjoy that gaming activity, which is it's tremendous value attached to one game. And I think Destiny has got something very, very similar, and it provides that degree of variety. So I really really enjoy it. And also, there weren't any guides as far as I remember. They didn't, the old style guides. You buy it in a bookshop, and then it tells you exactly what to, like big fat guides for Oblivion and Mass Effect. I've not seen one for Destiny. Have you? I think it was all about people communicating through the game, really, connecting online, or indeed doing it later through Twitch channels. And
I have seen people that have tried to do guides for Destiny and things along those lines. A lot of times it'll come up short because it'll only be guides for specific areas.
Yeah.
I believe some of the veterans have started doing it with Destiny 2. But back in the day, Destiny 1's guides were all done differently because it was all different people that came together to do it. Just the same group always been like, this is how you do it. This is my guide. This is the best guide ever. You need to do this guide. It was all like different people that would happen to find it. And I guess because of those people's work, I basically turned it into a way for others to just figure out how to make it work and how to do everything in the game. Because they're used to, like, once they learned how Bungie does things, it just became a matter of, okay, how are they doing it this time?
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
And then you get the same people figuring it out each time after that. So.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it certainly was like a next-gen game with breakthrough, revolutionary concepts, and I guess they did pick up a few things from Mass Effect, but they wanted it to be as similar or as connected to Halo gameplay, and it worked well. And also being able to replay missions and being able to replay all the other activities, I think was really fantastic if you wanted to teach others. So just like today, we've gone to this mission, replayed it. I really feel that this has been lost in the sequel. I really miss that. They left some of it recently with the replay. Vaulting the content, you grinding certain items, then disappearing, and it just doesn't feel right. Maybe they'll bring it in at a later stage when they conclude the chapter that is dedicated to the battle between the darkness and the light. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But I guess it's just the difference in between two games, and we don't have anything which is as challenging or as exciting as the mission that we have just completed in the sequel. What we just completed with these corridors and tunnels, it's very challenging. It does need somebody who knows what to do, and lots of enemies, and so I think for anyone who likes the insanity difficulty level, then I guess, well, mind you, on Reddit people complained about the recent changes to this, because I'm not trying to think whether is it Battlegrounds or is it I think Zenith will know that better than me. There are certain activities of the sequel where you can be adjusting the difficulty level, and then people complain, well, the lower difficulty level is too easy and the upper difficulty level is actually far too difficult. But at the end of the day, the upper difficulty level has been created for a team to play, not like for a solo player. You know what I mean? I've done recently a few the weekly story missions, part of that seasonal content, and you could really tell that mission was created for a team of 3 through what you do. And if you have a team of 3 people positioned tactically, it's very enjoyable. You can redo it several times. But if people want to do it solo, it's a different ballgame. Coming back to what you said about the guys chasing the gear and collecting different things, would you say that initially the first couple of years were giving us a fiercely competitive crowd that people really wanted to get hold of the items, and it was like, I've got this, you haven't got it, you know, I'm better than you, that sort of thing. Yeah,
It's not so much in PvP, or I'm sorry, not so much in PvE, because it was just a matter of luck whether you got a lot of things. But PvP, absolutely, especially when it came to trials, that was the sign of I am better than you, and you're not going to have this as long as I'm doing it. Trials of Osiris was that exact thing. Anyone that has Trials gear, basically, you put yourself in the position of playing against others that were more or less just the best of the best at the time that were playing the game. So, and there would be teams out there where they would literally go out and make sure people did not go to the lighthouse. They would be there like, only the deserved could go to the lighthouse. Only the people who deserved it would be worthy of such a thing, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was absolutely very important, because if it was like gatekeeping at that point. You were just making sure that there wasn't some random noob squad that happened to slip through the cracks, and it was very competitive, and it was very unfair, because these kind of people would just sit there all day on these Trials of Osiris maps and just play.
Just
and
keep
to anyone that
it,
was casual, that wouldn't have the time to practice it or do anything, if they came against one of these teams, it was just a slaughter. So it was really just, it was really not fair.
Well, I've heard.
And then there were the people that were also cheating as well. And what they would do is there would be a team that would basically DDoS you in the game. So if they weren't doing as well, they would have someone on there, and they would basically take out your internet. So you would unintentionally lose connection to the game. You would left
awful.
The game. Yes, that was there too. That was there too. Yeah.
How are they able to do that? They would be attacking your internet service provider's network, or what?
So, just kind of a brief explanation of that. They have that can track different IPs, and since it's a player-to-player based instead of server-based game,
I see.
If you're the host, or if you connect with the host, you're going to know which IP addresses are which ones. So what you then do is basically using a separate device, you would send a flood of information over to a specific IP address, causing it to disconnect to their internet, because the internet provider would basically be overwhelmed at that time, and it would cause it to lag and disconnect. And once you disconnect from the game, you can't get back into it. So they would be able to do that. I mean, yes, it is very much against terms of service and illegal, but they would do it for wins. And it happens all the time in games.
I hate it, really. And there's been a lot of effort amongst the gamers and also amongst the developers to impose measures which will prevent people from doing that sort of thing. I think in the future we'll probably see a lot more, as the wider community is fully aware of the threats which such activities really pose. But I can't stop thinking that in recent times we've seen, well, obviously it's been publicly declared that Blizzard servers have been DDoS attacked, right? I'm wondering whether the same thing's happening to Bungie with these recent error messages and crashes and everything else, which is widespread.
So those, I think, are more just kind of server issues that are kind of the server groaning under the pressure of additional things happening. So fixing a bug or glitch or anything isn't always as straightforward as it may seem. If they do patch things, change things around, sometimes it messes up things in the back end that were unintentional and can change people's ability to log into the server. Plus, they don't have the dedicated servers just for Destiny 2. It's both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. So you have both games that are having players having problems logging in and stuff like that. And it could just be one little line of code they changed. It messes up for some people. Then they go back and fix it, and then, next time they update or do an update on the game, then, the same thing happens again, so they have to go back and fix it. It's just kind of a repeat process.
I find it to be astonishing, really, considering that the game's been around for a long while, and Bungie obviously have lots of servers and everything. And there've been so many complaints of late. I don't know whether you read things on Reddit. Loads of people complained about these issues. I thought initially it was to do with my new internet connection, because what they do at the moment in Britain is they provide you the 5 and 4G routers with like a default NAT setting, and NAT setting isn't strict. So I really was a bit concerned about this, and investigated this on day one with my ISP technical staff and all this, and they explained to me what this would be, and that's something that we cannot change. The ISP can't change it. It's just the way it's delivered in order to protect any form of data infringement, people breaking into other devices or systems. So I'm not really a tech expert to know exactly what, but that's so. Excuse me. My first thought was that that's probably what's causing the crashes, but then I looked it up on Bungie Help and on Reddit, and I realized it's not, because lots of people are experiencing this. And then, like the other day, Zenith and me were in a game. We're playing Destiny 2, and suddenly everything went dead. And what's happening? Well, this is emergency maintenance on Sunday night, UK time, Sunday afternoon, US time, and it just seemed very bizarre, completely unannounced, And then the following day it said, we're spending time on the error messages, which are weasel, chicken, baboon, and anteater, and the rest of them. So it will affect the gamers, people who are dedicated to the game every day, if it keeps happening like this. And I'm surprised it's affecting both games. So it's not just in Destiny 2, it's also in Destiny 1. And we didn't used to have these problems.
Well, like I said, the servers are linked. It's not dedicated servers, so...
Yeah. Do you know, do they own the service, Bungie, or do they hire service from other companies? They probably own the service.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I would assume they own the servers, because it would not be cost effective for them not to.
No. And also considering Bungie don't have really many games, that worked on a few games compared to some other developers.
That also brings up another theory of mine that I've had. Zenith, you mentioned this actually, how Destiny eventually is going to be putting in everything from Destiny 1 into Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned that earlier.
I did, yeah.
Basically, my theory behind that is so they can shut down Destiny 1 instead of having the servers go on for years on end in a game that they no longer care about. So what they want to do then is add everything into Destiny 1 and then shut down Destiny 1, being like, oh, well, you can get all that in Destiny 2 now, so you can go play Destiny 2. That's the one we want, that's and the better game. Yeah.
I hope they don't do that.
Well, I think that's their goal, ultimately. I think that's the goal. I love Destiny 1 a lot more than Destiny 2 as well. I stopped playing Destiny 2 around Shadowkeep and have not touched it since. And I know they've changed a lot of things. Oh, but you have to go see this. Oh, they did this. Oh, yeah, there's all this stuff they changed. Yeah, I don't care. They lost my trust with that one.
Yeah,
I don't plan on going back to Destiny 2.
But don't forget, I don't actually remember. I may be completely mistaken. Anyone else watching and listening, you obviously tell us straight away. Tell me if I'm providing with the wrong assumption. I don't remember any other games which are provided on live servers like Destiny that would begin to erase content or vault it. So this is the first time I experienced it, because generally when people paid for the service, they were getting the service one way or the other. There have been games that discontinued due to lack of funds or other things. But for a game that is up and running, the game that's evolving and constantly selling different DLCs and different parts really of the narrative, as well as exotics and what do you call it, the cosmetics, right? I've never seen that before, and that surely is something that displeases very many people. I think you mentioned the other day that the contractual
included.
You said contractual obligation is that they always sort of you mentioned that, didn't you? That it's actually we are sort of borrowing that from them, renting, right? Mm-hmm. We are renting it from them, and therefore within the small print it's indicated if there are issues to do with the service, the finance, whatever. Well, we rented it, we played it, we enjoyed it, but at the end of the day, in terms of trading standards, Destiny 2 really quite costly, right? People would have purchased all these DLCs. Each DLC would cost maybe $50 to $100, every one of them. So add everything up, some people could have spent maybe more than $1,000 on the game, and then suddenly the content's gone, and it's just doesn't cut it for me, really. It just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it's I've always mentioned as one of my pet peeves of the games that they did that. Basically, it's so something that you purchased is no longer available as DLC, and that's ridiculous. Like for the main game, okay, that sometimes happens. Fine, you have to remove an area, change it around. That's fine. But that's something that you paid additional monies for. You paid DLC specifically for access to this area.
That's right. That's right.
And it's gone. It is no longer accessible. So effectively, your money is just theirs now, and you forfeit all rights to everything that they just did for that DLC.
Well, it's, I mean, from my understanding of trading standards, this could be considered as fraud, right? You basically sold it. People bought it in order to have it, as long as these servers are fully operational. The servers are fully operational, but the content has been withdrawn. And coming back to what you said earlier about Destiny 1, yeah, I think that certainly is the plan. The plan is to bring in all the content, maybe not the entire content, but the content that will be blending in with the narrative. But then on the other hand, it's literally a gigantic task, because Destiny 1 is a big game, and the story as it stands in Destiny 1 doesn't really immediately connect with the sequel. And generally speaking, they've had this problem with the narrative content right from the start. I mean, Destiny wasn't created as a story-driven game. It did have a story, but actually all the activities and non-linear storytelling seem to be the main thing. You remember when we were doing story missions chronologically? I've done that a little while back. And I was really astonished to see that the first section of the story missions, the first 6 or 7, were going to be starting out at the same point, right? You're starting at the same place, and it just looked very repetitive when you played.
Oh, it was.
You remember, it looked like very repetitive if you play them in a chronological order. But then once they change the concept, you do everything at a different time. It doesn't matter when you do them. Well, that obviously you do certain missions as you unlock them, but you're getting extra tasks with strikes or any additional side missions, quests, patrols. It became much more of a cohesive entity in which you just enjoyed the gameplay. You felt you were engaged with different parts of that universe. So that was quite something. And I don't really remember. Do you remember any other game at the time having something similar? I don't really. I think it was quite a novel concept.
Yeah, no, that was actually something that was relatively new to the scene. The live service game wasn't very popular, and Destiny really did popularize it. Now, I will be completely honest. Destiny 1 in its vanilla state, not at all. It had its story, which was very disjointed and kind of just ended abruptly. Didn't really cover for most of the things, and without any DLC additions, in particular the Taken King is what really set it aside from everything else. It was more or less just bad, because like you played the main game, okay, the campaign's done. You had a couple strikes, and then here's your raid, and that's it. And you could do the raid once per character every week. Yeah, and that was it. That was all you had.
That was slim.
And that's if you even had people to do the raid. That's like if you were a low-level character, well, then you weren't going to get into it. But yeah, it's just it just wasn't a good time back then. But with the addition of the Taken, like even with the Dark Below, and with all of the extra stuff that was going on there, it basically turned into a point where what's it called? Dark Below added in just a couple extra missions and another raid, so it just kind of prolonged the weekly grind, so to speak. And then even with House of Wolves, that one actually was a little more unique because it wasn't necessarily a raid they added Prison of Elders, which is a whole other game mode, which added that much more into it.
Yeah, that's right.
And Skolas at the time was very difficult because it was over leveled, so you couldn't become the level of the activity. It was something that you had to basically you couldn't plan for it. You just had to get good, so to speak. So it being level 35 and you being level 34 as your max at the time, that was kind of all you had. You just had to have all the right stuff and just hope you could get through it with a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But Taken King really is what opened up everything. Taken King, you had a brand new storyline. It actually was like a full line of content to it. Added a whole new map area that you could go to as a open area, or just doing missions and stuff. And you could also had another raid, changed the whole light system as it was, and made it better. Because again, back then it was tied to kind of like a waning system where it was all, I don't know how to describe it. It was tied to armor back then, and that was not the way to do it. It changed it to you could increase your stats individual of your armor, and then they made the whole infusion process, which, albeit was a little bit rough around the edges at first, because it took the average of the two pieces of armor and put your armor at that. So if you had something that was 350, it wasn't even that high. If you had something that was 320, and you were putting it into something like 280, trying to bring it up to 320, well, guess what? It's only going to be 300.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of take the averages back then. So it had its growing pains, but ultimately, with all the additions of everything, Rise of Iron, in and of itself, wasn't the greatest DLC. What it brought to the game and all the changes that came with it, including the updates of the raids, additional strikes being with the SIVA, all of those changes and additions that came with it, really what finalized the game into a full masterpiece that it is.
Yeah.
Taken King set it aside and made it, did the groundwork for doing it that way, and kind of changed the game for the better. And then Rise of Iron itself wasn't necessarily better, because if you look at the story of Rise of Iron, there's only a couple missions and then the raid, and then maybe a couple strikes.
That's right.
You take into account all the old content that they changed to match Rise of Iron, all the old strikes that they changed around to add to the SIVA versions of it. They added randomizers into the strike, so it wasn't always the same thing every time you go through. It changes the enemy types, it changes even the boss type and some of them as to how it plays out, some of the old ones, just how it works that way. It really just changed the dynamic of the game to the point it gave it a lot more replayability, and then making the raids not be stuck in the past years, because Vault of Glass and the Vault of Glass and the Crota's End, there was no reason to play those raids again. You would just get stuck with your one gear and you would play them for fun. That was it. But the updates to all that, and just the changes, also it was all brought into relevance again. Really is what made the game complete.
Yeah, and highly enjoyable, highly replayable. I mean, I don't really agree. Well, put it this way. I like the idea of Destiny 1 and 2 universes being joined together and being part and parcel of one big universe, but I would like to see the full content of the game provided, and then also with its own replayability, so you can choose what you want to do, with your community members at any other time. And also, I'd like to see more of a fully jointed sort of narrative content. Like you said, it felt somewhat fractured or somewhat disconnected, and also I didn't like the idea that it's the Ghost that keeps telling you the whole story with so many different facts, figures and names, quite hard to digest, particularly as the names are fairly unusual, and that is what I would like to see. And thinking at the moment is that they want to have, I guess that becoming a bit more similar, like Elder Scrolls Online, with the stronger narrative content which is linked. I don't know what you've seen. Recently they've been importing the maps from standalone single-player games, and I think that's certainly another experiment, and it's questionable whether the people who, I guess, embraced Morrowind or Oblivion will like it within that new universe, but remains to be seen. I mean, I'd like to see that. I like to see these kinds of experiments, but I just want it to be as interactive as possible. I want the game to be, as good as it was. Because what we've seen so far is literally everything coming in dribs and drabs, and it's not complete. You're importing one mission, the opening mission, Cosmodrome, introduce a new character, bring in a couple of raids. What happens to the rest? And like you said, if Destiny 1 is a cohesive entity, there's no need to be closing it down. It can operate on both levels as it operates today, right? Because you can be playing this content. I'm not mistaken in saying that the content that has been imported into the sequel is still fully playable, right? You can still play it here. It's not been discontinued. It's not been bolted.
Yeah.
And that itself is...
Yeah, there's nothing that's been changed that way. It's all the same.
Well, you remember...
It's all...
You remember when Microsoft decided to pull the plug on the original Halo trilogy, and then suddenly there was no multiplayer, and the amount of flack they received was unbelievable. It was just like everyone hated the whole thing, hence the company listening to the complaints and then reworking the game and offering it within the Master Chief Collection pack, that I have to say is extraordinary. It is just absolutely fantastic. It's interesting that lots of people who played it originally on the old console, even now on the remastered version, which actually looks very beautiful. I don't know whether you played it, but some sections of Halo Combat Evolved, if you play it through the remastered version, and you just change from remastered to the old by clicking the options button, right? Looks very similar to Destiny. You know, the background, the overlays, and everything else. You just some sections when you walk to certain areas, oh, this is just like imported from Destiny. And people just the old guys still resort to the old graphics. They'll just click and they'll leave it on the way it was. So, you know, these options should always be available. And I think breaking up these communities by discontinuing the game would certainly not be popular. It would be seen as, you know, the last nail in the coffin. Many people just simply depart. You heard much about this game Marathon?
Yeah.
They had the game in a past called Marathon as well. It was quite a while back. It was one of the early games released on PC. It was, you know, very basic and very, I guess, different to what they will be offering with the new one. But I don't think it's an ambitious game. They said it's a straightforward PvP, so have a few maps. I guess think of Crucible, maybe expanded a bit. You know, it won't be. That's the mask that we talked about. The mask where one can howl. Zenith's wearing it at the moment. Do you see it? Really good one. Sekapupu had it, and also now you have it. Yeah, so let's just hope for the best. All right, boys. I need to go for a stroll. So I haven't gone out swimming. I need to get a bit of fresh air. It's getting a bit stuffy in here. I need to have my dinner as well. I want to thank you very much for participating. It's been very interesting and always a pleasure to have coaching sessions. On set. Yeah, and when you have
I've
time,
had a lot of good days in Destiny 1 playing.
yeah.
But today was the official. This was the most fun I've had playing Destiny 1, and it's not because I got really cool weapons. That's just a bonus.
Yeah.
But just having you guys to roll with and the knowledge and being patient to help me through stuff, I really appreciate it. It's a really fun day today. So thank you guys.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Our pleasure.
Awesome.
Our pleasure. I mean, this channel, Matthias can tell you, because he's been with us almost from the beginning, has always been about help and helping others. I mean, I was the first person who needed a lot of help because I didn't know how to play the game, you know? And that, as you could see, I still sometimes jinx it and still things can seriously go wrong. And I'm not really a competitive player. I'm a person who likes community-based effort in gaming. It's always good fun to be able to have an expert like Matthias guiding us through the motion of, you know, basically learning all that we need to do. And I want to also invite other people to raise their hand and ask for help, and we'll do exactly the same. It doesn't even matter what the task is. It could be something mundane, pedestrian, you know, not greatly important, not maybe the most difficult tasks, but we'll always be here to help. And the forum should be always there for people to feel free to ask. And as you've seen, we have moderators, and it's a very family-friendly, very amicable, very pleasant type of forum. We discuss gaming and video gaming industry and other issues. And what we don't discuss is party politics. or of the politics in general. I had actually one chap. I don't know whether you remember this. We had at one stage, this about 4 or 5 years ago, the Division sessions, and he brought in a very dedicated Division community member who played the Division with me many times, both on my broadcasts and elsewhere, and he was just into the party politics big way. He's also from the US, and I just simply had to say, actually this channel is about other things, and it was well, he enjoyed the discussions. He loved the gameplay and everything, and we kind of embraced everything that was being talked about. We kind of politely angled towards other sort of content. I think generally it's unusual to get anyone of that sort, as it's quite clearly stated on everything I've got online what this channel is about. So yeah, once again, I'll need to depart. So thanks very much, guys, for being here with us. I'm so glad to see that you all had great fun. We'll carry on another day. And as I said, if anybody else wants to join us, or maybe for raids or for any other Pinnacle activities, we'll have a lot of that as we reach certain thresholds with our charitable fundraising. But we can always throw in an extra session on demand or on request. I want to say to Matthias that I'm getting a lot of views on through playback, which I did not get in the past. So I'm very surprised, and I guess it's coming in through the companies I involved with the stream elements and Rainmaker and Lightstream. So that's been very good. And I'm also getting messages from people who are watching through playback, listening to our content. I can guarantee you there will be lots of people watching what we were doing. They'll spot the difference, the unusual mission. And then I get messages that come in on emails, completely outside of the broadcast. And I actually messages, I've read them out a few times, from people who are not even members of our community. They were just interested about what's been said. So that all is very encouraging, and I'm very grateful to everyone who has participated. But anyway, thanks very much, guys. Have a very good day, and or have a very good evening. I think the evening is ahead of you. I'm really coming to the middle of the night over here. So not quite coming to 11 o'clock. So take care. See you soon. All the best.
You too.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.
Yeah.
Catch you fellas later.
Indeed. Take care. So, first and foremost, I want to thank our friends Zenith and Matthias for a wonderful day here on the channel, for so many different things that we were discussing, completing, touching on, and indeed the activity that was very fruitful and beneficial for all of us involved. I for instance picked up a dead ghost which I had not had in the past, and I thought that was quite remarkable, because I've gone through that many times with Sekapupu, Matthias and a few other community members, but apparently that one I had never picked up before, so it was really a bit of a pure treasure for myself. And you've seen also the mission that we were doing is a mission which in fact is, I wouldn't say it's a secret mission, but the last section is not something that most people would have completed, and it's ideal for anyone who wants to be doing it, just to watch activity and take out the clip as a small walkthrough, and you can complete it. Actually, Matthias and me were doing the mission a little while back, and we had completed the first part where you destroy the Hydra, but not the section where you would get that special ghost that is being given to Lakshmi. So that was also very interesting for myself. I always like discovering new content in the game, which I played for many hours. So once again, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Matthias and Zenith for their participation. The content today was absolutely and completely based on community contributions. We were, before Matthias joined us, doing some activities with Gail as well. Thanks to Gail for watching the stream and for supporting our activities. And we have completed the whole selection of those that were indeed coming from our dedicated community member Zenith. And as I said, we are always here to help out, so anyone else wants to come in, join us and ask for certain assistance, we'll be more than prepared to do so. So thank you for that. And I want to say also that we are still supporting our charities, and I'm running a charitable fundraising campaign here on the channel. So anyone who wants to be supporting Mind, I talked about this earlier in my stream, please make sure that you read the information which is on my About page on Instagram and Twitter, or indeed have a look at the link which I will be posting shortly, and you can just click and you will be getting then we have Zenith also saying, today was the best Destiny 1 experience I've had so far, thank you. Well, that's wonderful, and thank you so much for being here with us, and I'm so glad to see and hear that it's been such a good experience, because this game, as I said many times before, is about community spirit, it's about community effort, about team-based effort, and having somebody who is as knowledgeable as Matthias to help out and to provide a tutorial on such unusual activities in the game is always a true pleasure. It's just the best possible. And you remember, Zenith, I did say that if we were to be doing some of these things, we will want Matthias to join us, because he will be able to not just guide us through it, but describe all the activities and help us in all sorts of ways. In addition to that, we'll always have fun, particularly when Matthias is having lots of kills and surviving, and I'm dying all the time. It's just really great fun to experience that for myself. I quite like dying in games. I really like living in real life, you know, but we always had a lot of fun also in Warzone and Apex by doing exactly the same, and so that's truly wonderful. And it's all about that community-based spirit and content, doing it together and experiencing the game from the joint effort. I don't think anything can really compare to that. I play Destiny 1 always with my community members. Most of my streams were always with a few people participating, and it just made it a very, very fulfilling video gaming experience. I've had multiplayer games in the past, but certainly since I've started with my channel, which is now already 5 years ago, there have been so many events as fruitful and as interesting as the one today that I can just say thank you to everyone who actually made it possible. And that includes literally every one of our community members and some of our regulars. Some people have not come back yet for various reasons. Like Matthias said, some people departed, people play different games. But I will send a mail shot at some point within the next couple of weeks to everyone. So I will be roughly about 500-600 people, and we'll try to bring them in on certain days to reacquaint, I talked to Mila yesterday, if you remember. He's our community member from Warzone community, and he did say that since I've not been streaming Warzone, which was a separate stream obviously here on my channel, lots of people had dispersed because they didn't have that connecting factor. And I always say a channel run by a broadcaster is similar to your local cinema or your local music hub. People go there in order to meet up with others, and watching music and watching films is important, but all the other chats and connectivities, connections, new friendships always are the main motivating factor behind actually people going there. And it's really fantastic that today we have the opportunity to connect people from worldwide. As you've seen, well, actually you might have not seen recently, but there were sessions where we would have people from Spain, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, US, Canada, Argentina, Brazil, Britain, Germany, Hungary, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, all of them participating in the same forum, and being able to exchange views, thoughts about the gaming experience and other issues related to their life has been a very, very enriching and truly rewarding experience. Anyway, anyone interested in supporting our charitable fundraising, you can contribute by clicking on the link and getting the information through my About page, Twitter and Instagram. I will be posting the link very, very shortly. So I want to thank everyone. As I said, thanks for your contributions. I'll go out for my nightly stroll. Today there was no swimming, as I had to, I actually wanted to be, and therefore swimming will be completed tomorrow morning before I indeed deliver another stream. So thank you very much indeed for participating. Thank you for supporting the community. I wish you all a very, very good night, and I shall see you all tomorrow. Take care.